Hi everyone, welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Scott-Vargas here with Marc Tobiasch, and you've got a pretty sweet deck for us today.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, you're playing a Jeskai Ascendancy deck, only one in the tournament, and Germany is 5-1 so far.
Yes, that's correct. Right, didn't expect anyone else to play.
You didn't prepare for the mirror.
No, I didn't.
Let's take a look at the kind of the cards the deck is built around. Jeskai Ascendancy is the centerpiece. That's what the deck is doing. Tell us, what does Jeskai Ascendancy do for the deck?
Well, basically, you play kind of like a Jeskai control deck with like removal spells, but you have this combo kill, which the main combo of the deck is you play Jeskai Ascendancy, and then every time you play a non-creature spell, which is almost every other spell in the deck, you get to untap all your creatures and pump them and loot. And then if you have a Fate Stitcher either in your hand and you can discard it to it, or already in the graveyard, or there's one Fairy Conclave which also works with it. You can unearth for 1 and it gets haste, so you can put it into play directly, and then what you do is you untap your lands, and every time you play a spell, the Fate Stitcher untaps and grows, and since most of your spells cost 1 mana, then you get to untap the land you played the spell with and keep going, while the Jeskai Ascendancy loot makes sure you find enough spells to just keep going. So that's basically the main point. You have a combo finish, kind of like Twin, I guess, where you play a control-ish game, and then if your opponent taps low, or even sometimes you can win through removal. Even if you have 2 Fate Stitchers, they have to trade cards in their hand for cards in your graveyard, and then you just keep going. And basically what you do is, once you hit another Fate Stitcher during your loop, you can start like tapping their blockers as well, because it also untaps as well. It taps as well as untaps. So basically, you can win from any board state.
Yeah, and you don't have to even start the turn with this in play because
no,
the haste off.
No, you can just untap, have 4 mana, play the Ascendancy, or even you can do it with 3 mana if you have a Fate Stitcher in your yard, because you can unearth it, untap the land you played it with, Jeskai Ascendancy, probe for 2 life, untap it, and go on.
And then the other new addition to the deck, because this deck's been around for a little while, is Monastery Mentor, and what does that add?
Yeah, well, basically, when you only have 4 kill conditions, kind of, in the deck, and you don't find them, even like most of the deck cycles, but even if you don't, like even if you cycle a bunch and you just don't find it, you need another thing to do. And the Monastery Mentor is kind of the same card. Like, you can't win the turn you play it, but a lot of the time you can play it and win the next turn if you have like 2 mana open, or like play a probe and another spell, then you have 2 monks and the Monastery Mentor, and it's pretty easy to kill from there, just with a monk straight up. And as well, there's like, if people try to hate you out with like enchantment removal spells or like graveyard hate or whatever, like this card just doesn't care. You just play it against, even like against Jund, if they have Abrupt Decay that hits everything, you just play it, play 3 spells, like they kill it, and your 3 monks, they're just not going to beat the 3 monks. So it's basically another angle of attack you have, without like diluting your deck by adding like 10 cards or something. Just the 3-card package. It's a
transformational sideboard in the main deck.
In the main deck, basically.
Taking a look at the spells in the deck, all these have something in common. They all draw you a card.
And they also cost 1, which is important.
Well, one of them costs 0.
Sometimes. I've been at 1 and had to cast it. Yeah, so the main thing is all of those cards find your combo and enable your combo.
Right.
There's some nice interactions because the probe, you can cast it for 0 and know what to play around, obviously. The Serum Visions is the best card to dig you into something specific. There's some nice interaction with like scrying and then having a lot of draw to immediately draw the card. The Thoughtscar is nice because if you mill the Fate Stitcher on accident, or like if you scry it to the top, you already start with it in the graveyard, so it's basically like drawing an additional card. And the last one is a sweet one. It's both in the combo if you start with low cards in hand, because your looting doesn't actually get you up on cards, but your looting does get you up on graveyard cards. So you can loot, and at some point you had this, cast Ancestral Recall, and who doesn't want to do that?
How many Ancestrals have you cast today?
Only like 3, I think, because most people just concede after you cast the first
That's no fun, but the deck
not much luck there.
Has some interaction. Let's take a look at the interactive spells in the deck. You've got Lightning Bolt, Path, Remand, and then Snapcaster, which doubles as all 7 of your spells.
Also, this is a spell in the combo, because like even if you only have 2 mana, you can Snapcaster Probe to get a trigger for the Ascendancy. So you basically what you have to do is you can't play too many cards that don't further along your combo, because once you start going through your deck, you actually really want to win, because if you brick, then all your face stitchers get exiled, and that's not a good spot to be. But that's basically the reason I think why the deck is good. You have a lot of interaction, you have a very consistent deck with all the cantrips, and like finding these cards give you one mana instant speed removal is basically what you need in the format to survive against like the top decks being like Infect and Affinity and things like that. Remand is the best like proactive approach. Like if you want to play against something like Titan Breach or something, you don't want to put Mana Leak in your deck because it's a brick if you're going to combo. But Remand is nice because as it cycles and you can target your own spells. So during your combo, you sometimes just cast a spell, remand it, draw a card off
all
the
these
remand, play the spell
triggers.
again, get a lot of triggers. So all these cards, even though they're like, in theory, they're control-ish cards, they actually do work while you're in the combo. Like you can just lightning bolt your opponent for 3 and just get your untapped trigger again. And so that's why you need a whole cohesive plan, and these work perfectly.
All right, just run through the mana base here. You got the shock lands, one of each of your primary colors.
Yeah. Like you don't really want a lot of blue. Like you really want a lot of blue, so you don't want a lot of cards that make mana that is not blue. But there's a couple of them in the deck because there's Blood Moon as a consideration, and if you have like Island and a fetch land, and you sometimes don't know which color to get, you have to play this card.
Take a look at the next lands. These are the fetch lands, of course.
Those are pretty basic.
You just get to play 4 of each of the ones that overlap in your colors.
Exactly. Also, they make cards in graveyard to get your Ancestral Recall on.
Yeah, that's true. They work with visions, and take a look at the actual basics.
Yeah, those work against Blood Moon. Like if you have a plains and an island, you can basically beat Blood Moon and don't care about it. And just fetching and not having to shock yourself comes up a lot.
Against burn, something like that. And then Fairy Conclave actually stands out.
Yeah, that one is also like if your Fate Stitchers get exiled, like Surgical or whatever, you can just activate this, and every time you spell you untap this, and it's a 2/1 flyer. And since most of the spells are blue, you can just go off with that. That's fine. And just some more lands that don't shock you, and also untap against Choke, but I wasn't expecting those. But
so wrapping it up, I saw you win a pretty sweet game against Infect last round, and seems like the deck's doing quite well for you.
Yeah, the Infect matchup is very good, since all those cheap removal spells, and they have to respect your combo as well, so they can't really just go in, have you stop them, and then kill them in return. So it's a very interactive and fun deck.
Cool. Good luck with the deck.
Thanks.
From the Tournament Center for Marc Tobiasch, I'm Scott-Vargas. Thanks.